Hey everyone, it's Jason with Leadership Loading Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. My guest is Tiffany Parker. Today we're talking about leadership and overcoming obstacles. Tiffany is a firefighter, emergency manager, and Texas Commission on Law Enforcement instructor, specializing in foreign and domestic terrorism, human trafficking, and the incident command system. I've known her for about a year now, on and off as an acquaintance, and welcomed her to the show because I wanted to talk to her a little about what she's got going on in life today and her book that she just released, and wanted to just give her a chance to tell us all about it. So Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jason. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you're at today?
All right. So I got married when I was 16. I had 2 kids, and when I was 19, I left my husband, and I ended up working my way through college at an ice cream shop. I got my EMT, my firefighter, and then I've slowly built my way up to a master's degree in Homeland Security.
Okay, and can you tell us where you've worked at before, or what, some of your background in the emergency services?
Absolutely. So I spent the last 10 years in the fire service in Arizona, working for 2 small fire departments. And then in 2017, I got a job offer at the city of Dallas, working in incident command and working as their training and exercise coordinator. And then a year ago, I accepted a position for Baylor Scott and White Health Police Department as their emergency manager. And then as 2 part-time jobs I have, I also work for Reclaim 611, which is a human trafficking nonprofit organization, and Massey Emergency Preparedness, which does emergency preparedness for high-rise buildings and first responders.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about that 611?
Yeah, Reclaim 611. So we are a human trafficking nonprofit organization. So our mission is to educate first responders on human trafficking. So our biggest hubs for human trafficking are highways, airports, and hospital systems. Well, firefighters, police officers, and clinical staff all go through those hospital systems. So we're seeing trafficked victims several times a day, and we're missing those signs of human trafficking. So we go through and we educate clinical staff, fire, EMS, and PD on just the signs of human trafficking, the way to interview those people, and then the help that they can receive through those folks that are assisting with them. And then they can always call us and let us know that they have a potential human trafficking. We talk to the person and we get them the resources they need.
Definitely. I used to work in higher education, and we had a big push on that, on identifying that. And I know a lot of our hospitals that I work with, and a lot of the restrooms and that sort of thing, we have signage on how to recognize that and how to get help. And I'm not sure if that's part of what y'all do, or if we just did that on our own end.
No, it is.
Definitely. So tell us a little bit about the obstacles you've had to overcome. I know you've had a lot of struggles, and you're a very successful person, obviously. And can you tell us a little bit about some of the things you've had to overcome to get to where you're at?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into human trafficking mostly for my mom, who was trafficked as a young child. She went through years of abuse and trafficking and different types of sexual abuses. And so when she had me, she kind of had the mentality of a young child. Although she was an adult, she really had the trauma brain that we see with human trafficking victims. So that created a lot of pressure on me as a kid, a lot of pressure to grow up quickly. I ended up getting married when I was 16 years old in an arranged marriage. And when I was 19, I was disowned by my family in the church when I said enough was enough, and I left. I spent a year homeless. I talk about that a lot in my book, that time that I was homeless and the things that I did to try to get out of that, things I did to earn money, and, the places that I lived, whether it was staying on the floor in somebody's laundry room or hopping couches with friends. And during that, I worked at an ice cream shop and a pretzel shop, and I earned the money I needed to get my EMT. So I was raped as a 13-year-old. So I talk about that a lot in my book, but those are a lot of mental challenges that I've had to overcome, and a lot of issues with men throughout the years, to the point now that I work solely with men, with both in the fire department and police department. So I've really had to overcome those mental challenges, and I talk about that a lot in my book, and just, where you come from in the past doesn't define who you are in the future.
Yeah, I think those of us in the public safety field, we have a lot of stressors that we get into, and your background makes you a perfect candidate to be out there in the field and in the position you're in to help others and kind of have that empathetic ear and mindset on how to help people that are in need.
It definitely helped me as a firefighter to connect with our patients far better than those people that hadn't experienced the same type of trauma.
Definitely. So we've been kind of talking about your book. Can you tell us when it came out and a little bit more about what it's about?
Yeah, absolutely. So my book, Whispered Like Wildfire, I published it 2 weeks ago. It took me about 6 months to write. Something to do with the trauma brain is your brain recollects things a little differently than people that have never been through trauma. So when I am struggling to get past one of my previous hurts, I write about it. And so I started to realize that as I'm writing about these things, that if I put them together, that you can kind of see a timeline of my life and where I have been and where I'm going. So that's when I started writing my book and putting those pieces together. And I took my time with it. And each time that I had a mental challenge to overcome, whether it was, triggers from one of my exes that were extremely abusive or triggers to my childhood, I'd write about it. And eventually I was able to put those together and correlate the things that happened in my past are who I am in my future. And I couldn't be who I am today and as successful as I am had I not gone through those challenges. So the hopes of my book is when people read it and they are in those places, that they understand that God meets them where they are and that that's not where they have to be. And if they keep pushing forward, eventually they're going to break through that ice at the top and see the sunshine and that's what we're looking for is the light at the end of the tunnel.
Definitely. And where can we find that book?
You can find it on Amazon. So it's on Kindle and Amazon, either a paperback cover or if you're an electronics person, then it's on Kindle as well.
Definitely. All right. So if anyone had a question or wanted to get a hold of you, professionally, how could they do that?
Absolutely. So you can always find me on LinkedIn and Facebook, of course. My email address also is tiffany.parker@reclaim611.org. You're always welcome to reach out to me. We do public speaking. I go around and talk to women about past struggles and success now. And we also do presentations on human trafficking. So I'm always happy to come out and chat with people.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Tiffany. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.